Hey everyone, we'll give a minute for people to join before we start here. Alrighty, I'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our September district webinar. I'll get started today with my usual updates about Advisor. We have Tammy Hicken from the early childhood team talk about their data today. And Naomi will be talking about the Advisor follow-up collection. We will be getting videos and slides posted here to this website probably within the next couple of days here at the nedataconference.com website. All right, let me get started with my my section. Oh yeah, also a reminder, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function in Zoom and we'll answer those as we go. All right, first quick update on Advisor certification for the new year. As of this week, all the primary SIS vendors are certified to send data. ESU3 just got certified this week. I'm guessing they are probably already syncing data. PowerSchool is conditionally certified, meaning you can send 22-23 data now. I believe the update that allowed 22-23 data came from PowerSchool a couple of weeks ago. They will, in a future updates, hopefully around the end of this month, be putting out changes to support the new attempt status and instructional time plan fields. But those fields are not really required for the fall collection window. I believe I've talked to Scott at ESUCC. SRS will probably be certifying this week too. So then everyone will be sending their data. Just a reminder, if you wanted more details about the Advisor vendor certification, if you go to the Advisor resources page, it's posted up top here. And we've got some notes about the certification, and you could also look at our test plan document where we've taken any notes about what we found as I was testing with each of the vendors. Another thing about Advisor status, and probably some of you are already aware of this, our Advisor web and database servers, they're kind of struggling under the load of the initial fall, rush to sync data. For example, last Monday, I looked at the logs and we processed 400,000 sync requests, which is maybe slightly high, but pretty normal, versus this Monday, we processed 3 million sync requests. So that's just kind of handling that amount of traffic is just kind of causing slowness in the syncing, and or you may be seeing errors basically coming from not getting a response. And then usually you'll, may have to resync and get it to catch up. This may be slowing down Advisor validation a little bit as well, just as a side effect, because they all kind of share the same database. So far, we added some additional hardware to help yesterday. It helped things a little bit, but it really still running pretty slow, I think. We are looking at adding some additional, basically, hardware to the virtual servers. Yeah, this is really the performance of the EdFi backbone behind Advisor is not something we could really tune very easily. So unfortunately, doing some hardware changes is probably our only option at the moment. So that, I think, is something that we will have to roll out overnight. So we'll be talking about that today. Other things going on with Advisor. We've been going through our backlog of little fixes for advisor validation. We've put out a few of those. We're looking at a few more in the next few weeks. The instructional unit report that I talked about last month, I believe we will have to kind of wait till the winter before I would develop that and put that out onto advisor validation. So, that report will be using the new instructional time plan field, which many of you may be filling out now, but really it isn't something that we need to concentrate on for the fall collection window. All right. For the data elements, I did put out an update just yesterday. There's just a few little guidance tweaks, nothing really significant changed. I did want to review it with everyone though. So if you go out here, it's now listed as version 7.1. And I will skip down to Appendix A to give you an idea of what we changed. Instructional time planned. I mentioned that it was high school before, but really I just want to clarify. Since we're only collecting instructional time plan to support instructional units, we only need that for courses with 9th through 12th graders. That in Rule 10, the instructional units requirements are only relevant to high school grade levels. I do not believe there are any requirements like that for other types of schools. Enrollment, we've tweaked the guidance a little bit on this code 09, which is a code that not many districts would ever need to use. Let me find that here. I changed the name a little bit. It's now called Ward of the State Court Assigned to a Residential Setting. This is for students that are placed in a setting like a group home that is not a foster home, and where this group home or other setting is located within the boundaries of a public school district, but due to the type of placement, that student's district of residence didn't change. So technically the student's district of residence is in another district, but your district would be providing education for them. We've been talking with some people who are more familiar with the rules with DHHS. We don't have an exact list of all the types of places that fall under this rule. I'm not sure we'll ever get an exact list. So we are just going to say, if you think that this kind of situation would be relevant to your district, please just contact the service desk. We will talk it out with you. Let me get back to Appendix A. Oh yeah, one thing, since we had the new behavior codes this year in 22-23, Someone asked that we mark those as updated, so it's easy to see in the table of contents. Like the new fields, like instructional time planned, always had said new in front of them. But since behavior had a pretty significant change and that we added a couple, 4 or 5 new behavior codes, now you can see right from here that behavior has been updated. And what was the last thing here? Oh, yeah, the student related arrest indicator. Let me just jump straight to that. Or school related arrest indicator. Nothing has really changed about this. I've just changed the text to match the text that was written in the LB 154 discipline bill. Really, it's just more specific than what we had written before. It used to just basically say this applies for any school activity or a school purpose involving transportation, and now it's the sentence is just more specific. I don't really think it changes the meaning of that field though. So that's it for the data element changes. As always though, if you have more suggestions, you're free to send it to us. Send it to the advisor help email and we can take a look at adding that. Well, this is not directly advisor related. I thought I'd give you a little bit of update about the NEP, Nebraska Education Profile. So right now, the NEP Secure app, that's the app that's in the portal for districts that has the unmasked data. We took that offline as we do each year while we are preparing the new year data, 21-22 in this case. This first release that we're putting out to the NEP Secure includes all the standard demographics about students and teachers, plus all of the statewide assessment data that we'd have for the district as well as statewide. And also a reminder, we'll also have download reports of the statewide assessment data in advised validation. So we'll be getting those updated probably within the next week or so. And we'll put something out on the website, a note on the website when those are added. Something that I don't know if everyone's aware of, we will be doing a Quest accountability classification this year. We haven't done it since 2019, so it took 2 years off, due to COVID, of course. But we are having to do that this year. And besides the classification, we will also be updating those lists of federal designations. That's the CSI, Comprehensive School Improvement, Targeted School Improvement, and I think it's targeted, and additional targeted school improvement. So NDE leadership still making some decisions about how we're going to do the accountability data. So we don't have an exact date for when we are going to release the updated NEP Secure with the accountability included. But when that is decided, communications will be going out to superintendents as well as the NDE bulletin. So keep an eye out for that. A couple of questions. One, Ellie was asking about the data pool. So the fall collection, the data is pulled midnight October 31st. So we're looking at what students were enrolled on October 1st, but we pulled the data October 31st. Also, the follow-up collection, that's where the last of the changes to the 21-22 data. We are locking that midnight on October 2nd. If there's any late requests for that 21-22 data, we would want that quickly, probably within the next 2 weeks after that date. As come first week in November, we do have to submit the final special ed counts and exiters to the feds, and then we would not change that data after that time. One more note I wanted to mention, summer PBT is officially on. I think I might have mentioned this last month. Just a reminder that the summer PBT benefits are available for any students enrolled at the end of last school year who receive free or reduced lunches, as well as anyone covered by CEP for lunch. That is, and if you have any more questions, please go to our nutrition services website. There is a section down here about summer PBT. Basically, we would look for the data in the same format as we did last school year. But this last field where during the school year we had to collect the number of days a student was absent, that's no longer really relevant. So you could just send a 0 up for that field. Otherwise, basically it's just a list of students with their parents' info. And Chris had a question about subs and staff reporting. You can check the answered tab on the Q&A to see about that. Right. A little early here, but that is all I really have. Is there any other questions? Anything someone wants to ask about Advisor? Or Angela was asking about the PBT. Well, I'm not sure what you meant to answer, what you meant to ask, but. Kim is asking, when can we correct errors from the 21-22 school year? You could be doing that right now. I mean, really, the collection for 21-22 never really ends after in the summer. So it's always open until we come to October 2nd. That's when we will finally lock down the data. Lois asked, are we going to be having to do the PBT every summer now? I hope not. It was never meant to be a permanent. PBT in general was never meant to be permanent. But I can't say for sure that we're not going to do it again this year, even though it really, I don't know if it has anything to do with COVID at this point. So I really couldn't answer that question, Lois. It just kind of depends on if the feds are going to approve a program, and then if DHHS will get that program approved to do here in the state with the governor's office. Angela's asking about specifically for summer PBT, is it students that qualify on the last day of the school year? Technically, that is the technical definition. Last day of the school year is who would be included over the summer. I think in some instructions, yeah, we may say just anyone enrolled in the last month might just be a shorthand way to make that easier to collect. But yeah, I believe technically if we go look at the plan that is approved with the feds, it is the last day of the school year. And for you, I'm guessing that means May 25th, not June 30th. Amanda says you have 21-22 sped errors because 22-23 SRS isn't set up yet. I don't understand exactly what errors that would be, Amanda. August exits. Oh, because, well, I'm not sure. In SRS, can you still report 21-22 data right now? So I'm not exactly sure how 22-23 SRS data affects 21-22. I need some more questions about that. But Amanda, feel free to put in a ticket. So yeah, Amanda, August transfer out students need a matching sped exit. If you see that error in 21-22, then I'm assuming that means the student is listed as transferred out in 21-22. Even if that was in August. So Amanda, I would say double check what the enrollment data is actually saying for that student first. You know, use the student lookup in advisor validation. Because maybe you don't want to report the exit in 21-22 at all. Maybe you want to report that exit in 22-23, and then the SRS record would come in 22-23 to match it. Lori asked, well, we don't have a current address for students who moved over the summer. I would say you can list the best address you have for a student. If the student was receiving direct benefits, and that's not all students, hopefully HHS has that address already. Really, if they're receiving direct benefits, I think they get money added to their existing EBT cards. But I mean, if it's someone who no one really has an address for, I mean, there's really nothing we can do. You can include them on the list, and HHS will have, you know, a record that they would have tried to mail a card to that person, and it was returned. But really, if no one knows their address, there's really nothing we can do about that. But that, yeah, cards being returned is definitely something that HHS has been dealing with throughout the whole PEBT process. Alrighty. I'm not seeing any more questions. We'll take a quick break then. Tammy, we'll have you get started at 10 o'clock roughly. So thanks everyone. And like I said, if you have any more questions, go ahead and drop it in the Q&A. All right, Tammy, if you want to share your slides.
Am I sharing them, Max?
Yep, you're good.
Good, thanks. Morning, everybody. I'm Tammy Hicken. I'm with the early childhood team here at NDE, and I'll be going through some of the early childhood data elements that are collected through the NDE portal. In this presentation, I will talk about the Rule 11 pre-kindergarten report, student data, staff data, and the consolidated data collections. The Rule 11 pre-kindergarten report can be found on the NDE portal under the Data Collections tab. All districts and ESUs are required to complete this collection. Districts that operate pre-kindergarten programs identify themselves with what type of program they operate: a center-based program serving preschoolers, a center-based program serving infants and/or toddlers, a home-based program, or a sixpence program that operates in infant and/or toddler classrooms, a home-based program, a child care partnership. They then identify if they are meeting the required Rule 11 regulations for that type of program. And this collection is due on October 15th. Student data is collected on all students that attend a public school district and/or ESU program. Students could include ones that attend full-time, part-time, drop-ins, or peer models. Center-based program means a pre-kindergarten program serving children in a class setting on a part-day or full-day program basis. This could include sixpence, district or ESU operated early childhood classrooms, educare, or childcare provided by the district. Students that attend these programs will require the following categories of information to be completed: enrollment, attendance, courses, and programs. Home-based programs. These templates do not directly include students that receive SPED-only services. For questions about students that receive SPED-only services, please contact the Nebraska Special Education Department. Home-based programs could include school district home-based programs and sixpence home-based programs and child care partnership programs. Some school districts also offer other home-based non-SPED programs. Home-based students may go to the school once in a while for activities, but their primary program is in the home. Students that attend these programs will require the following categories of information to be completed: enrollment and programs. The Who Reports What document, which can be found on the advisor website, is a good guide to reference to help you determine what information needs to be submitted for different types of students. The grade level. Ensure that the grade level of students matches the part day and full day program hours that you enter into the CDC. Part day is for students that attend less than 6 hours, and full day is for students that attend 6 hours or more. For the early childhood program, you will use the early learning setting code that you are assigned. If you receive any early childhood grant funds, depending on your year of approval, you will use either 01 or 02 for these students. Sixpence programs will use either 05 for their center-based program, or 07 for their home-based program, or 08 for their child care partnership program. For other home-based non-SPED programs, you will use 06. This code is a self-assigned code and up to the district to determine if this code should be used. All other programs will use the 03 or 04 setting code depending on their year of approval. If your district operates different types of early childhood programs, you can use different type of codes to identify students in those programs. You can always refer to the Results Matter TA document to look up your district to see what codes you should be using. Students that receive SPED services only do not need to be identified with an early childhood program code. In the early childhood program, there is also different type, that is also a program type that is used to identify if a student is Head Start or not. The early childhood ed program Head Start student type should only be used in districts that are a Head Start grantee, a Head Start delegate, or have a partnership with a Head Start agency and serve Head Start children in their collaborative classrooms. Staff reporting. These are the 4 basic position assignment codes used in pre-kindergarten programs. 1160 is a teacher. Each class of center-based students must have a certificated teacher with an early childhood endorsement. If the teacher does not have the proper endorsement, a detailed plan to obtain the endorsement or a waiver must be submitted to NDE and updated yearly. A 5160 is an instructional paraprofessional, and a 2140 is a non-SPED home visiting specialist. Every home-based program must have a home visiting specialist that meets the Rule 11 requirements. And a 2141 is a non-SPED home visitor. These program indicators are used in combination with the position assignment codes to generate the staff position assignment. One of these indicators must be used to identify early childhood staff working in the various early childhood programs. There are 2 early childhood collections in the Consolidated Data Collections, the CDC. PK Instructional Program Hours and K Program. Here we collect the planned number of hours that you plan to offer your early childhood program per week and per year. We ask you to identify these programs if your program is part day or full day. This goes back to my reference about making sure that these hours match the grade level that you mark your students. HP for part day and PK for full day. Please keep in mind that all center-based programs must be offered at least 12 hours per week, and if a district receives any early childhood state funding, they must meet the 450 hours per year requirement. This collection is due October 15th. The other CDC collection is the Days in Session Instructional Program Hours. The Days in Session part of the collection does not need to be completed for the public school districts and ESUs, but the instructional program hours must be. Instructional program hours are the actual hours that your program is offered for the year. Please keep in mind the minimum requirements, and this collection is due June 15th. As you probably already know, and Max talked about this, that the advisor website is a good site to bookmark. It contains the instructions and guides that will help you with your data. And the Who Reports What document that I referenced earlier is available at this link. This concludes the early childhood data presentation. Feel free to contact me or the assigned early childhood specialist in your area if you have any questions. If there's no questions in the Q&A, that's all I have.
Yeah, I did not see any related to this exactly, although Naomi's been answering them. Oh, one question that Amy asked also was the Advisor Resources website also does have the document that lists what of early childhood setting codes each district can use.
Yeah, I believe it is. Otherwise, they can
Yeah,
go to our Results Matter TA document. So yeah.
Nope. Yeah, we've posted the section with just those codes on advisor resources. So
Okay,
I believe, but under the program specific tab.
all right, thank you.
If does anyone have any other questions they want to drop into the Q&A window? We're getting a lot today. We'll jump into Naomi's presentation here in just a couple minutes. Yeah, Christy asked about a copy of the PowerPoints. We will get all of the PowerPoints as well as the video posted here on the Any Data Conference website. Maybe by the end of this week or early next week. We will get all the video and things posted, and then we'll also open up the registration for the next time.
Okay, Max, I think I'm ready to go. If everyone else is ready, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Max, if you'll do me a favor and kind of keep an eye on the Q&A and maybe answer the questions as they come in. And then when I'm done with the presentation, we can maybe take a look. I'd also like to keep the questions that are specific to a district scenario separate. I'd like to keep the presentation generic because we are going to record this and we're going to have it available on the Workday's web page, which is linked in the presentation. And I think Christy was asking for a copy of these presentations. Right now on the data webinar page, you can actually download a PDF of the presentation I'm about to give. So please do so if you want to follow along. There's a lot of links within the presentation I'm not going to click on now, but they can be helpful resources for you later on. So go ahead and get this pulled up here. All right. Max, can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. All right, so let's get started here. We're going to talk about, hold on. I don't know why it says 2021. I want to make sure I have the right presentation here. Sorry, guys. Hold on just one sec. All right, let's try this one. I think this is going to be a little more appropriate to our needs. All right. Max, we good?
Yep. I see it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, so we're going to quick do a review on the 21-22 advisor follow-up collection. So briefly, this collection last year, we did adjust the due dates. So as Max mentioned earlier, this collection really didn't have an official open date, but it did open on July 1st because that was the end of the 21-22 school year. And so that's the start of the new school year, but this is when the follow-up collection opens for districts to make amendments to their advisor data. So we have an upcoming due date here of the 15th, and excuse me, that is, as Max also addressed, we've got various student information systems at various levels of syncing and publishing data. So that deadline is really just kind of to make sure that you're aware, follow-up collections going, but really you have until that auto window closes on midnight of October 2nd to make updates to this collection data. And that's because you're going to use that October 1st membership count date in order to make adjustments to your information in an advisor. So the data that's collected in the advisor follow-up collection includes student and teacher course section updates. So this would be things that changed since you reported everything in the year-end collection. This could be adjustments to your calendars to reflect various instructional units. It could be adjustments to your courses to make an adjustment in some of your Perkins data. Other examples include year-end enrollment updates. So we use this collection for you to report summer graduates, kiddos who are transferring out over the summer. You may not have known that they were going to move at the end of the last school year. So now you're going to report them as transfer out. Another example is our special education data. So again, those kiddos who may have transferred over the summer, or maybe even those who have exited SPED, and you didn't know that when you reported your year-end data. So you're going to make those updates to the information now. And then finally, we also are collecting Title I program information in the follow-up collection. So keep in mind, this follow-up collection is really only meant for the data that you didn't know, that you couldn't report by that year-end deadline of June 15th, June 30th. So this is the data that you just need to make a little couple tweaks to in order to make sure that you close out the 21-22 school year with everything appropriate. So we utilize the information that you're reporting in this collection for various things. A big one, a really, really big one, is for our federal special education reports. So this includes birth through 3 and school age kiddos. And we've got some deadlines that there's one in November. So we take the information, you finalize an advisor follow-up, and then we do our little analysis to it, and then we send it to the feds in November. We can't make adjustments to that data after that time at all. So it's really, really important that you're looking at your follow-up data and making sure that any tweaks that you made were really the things that needed to be done. We also utilize the graduation and dropout rates that you report in the NEP, the Nebraska Education Profile. I know Max talked a little bit about that earlier. There's a link to the site here. So we get all that information in your follow-up, all those adjustments you make, and then we publish it so the public can start looking at some of that information related to your schools. The accreditation team utilizes the course data to evaluate instructional units, and the career education team utilizes the data for Perkins reporting. So here is another great resource. I think Max mentioned it earlier. It's our advisor resources webpage. We have a calendar on there that lists all the deadlines for the various advisor collections. We have advisor data elements. So the new version that just came out, the who reports what, the systems involve student reporting guidance. Those are really helpful in kind of, you have that one student in a situation that it's different from the norm, and so you're not quite sure how it applies. Those are great guidance documents for those situations. There's a link to the course codes and clearing endorsements page. We even have advisor person ID guidance on the advisor resources webpage. And then something else that I think is really helpful as well is you can find an Excel file of the various districts and systems in the state, including non-public, special purpose schools. And that can be a helpful document as well. Let's say you need to know the county district school code, the numbering code for another school. That's a great place to find that. So what are your next steps as a district for the follow-up collection? So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to log into advisor validation, and you're going to want to view your errors. So you've got both 21-22 and 22-23 school years, and you're going to want to toggle between them because there are errors that are applicable that are listed in each of those school years that impact your follow-up data. So it's going to be important to kind of review those. You can use the lookups that are available in the advisor validation collection. Those can be really helpful in helping you dig into some of the errors. Why is the student showing up here? And you can use the different school years and these lookups to do that. The enrollment lookup by ID is a really helpful one when you want to see one student's picture of all their school years. Where have they been? Have they been at multiple school districts? And what years were they reported here as a kindergartner, here as a 12th grader? It's a really helpful one. The student lookup by ID is really helpful when you want to look at one kiddo for one school year, and you want to see everything related to them for that one school year. So like when you're navigating, especially like some of the SPED errors, this tool is really helpful because you can look and see, okay, what was reported for this kiddo in 21-22? Then you can change your school year to 22-23 and look at what was reported or what is being reported currently for this kid in those two different school years. And that can help you kind of look at dates and do some analysis that way. A couple other lookups that are helpful are the student lookup by demographics. You can pick one specific demographic and then see a whole picture of everybody at your district that has that demographic. And then also the special education lookup can be really helpful if you're digging into some of those SPED records. The help site listed here does have some advisor errors specifically listed. We're trying to improve and increase the number of errors listed on that website. Right now, there's a few though. So if you have questions about how to solve a very specific error, you can look there. And then I think what's really key, and I hope that you've heard so far, is that we're using that 22-23 advisor data to assist you with your 21-22 follow-up collection, right? So you have this data you have to submit and kind of to close out the 21-22 school year, utilize what other school districts have reported, what you reported in 22-23 to help you make some of those adjustments. All right, so after you review your errors, you kind of figure out some of those, then you're going to go in and you're going to look at your verification reports. So for the 21-22 school year, you're going to look at your student reports. And we've got this link here is going to be really helpful. At the bottom of this page here, there's an Excel file. We changed the format based on a request from someone. There's an Excel file and it lists all the verification reports that are in advisor validation, and you can filter down by the specific collection. So you can choose follow-up collection and then look at the reports that are specific to that collection. And it'll tell you kind of the window of how you want to analyze that data. So the reports have various reporting windows. And the ones that are going to be really helpful, I think, when you're analyzing that follow-up collection are going to be your end of year. So this would be any kiddos enrolled in the school at the end of the school year. That date on there, I'm sorry, is incorrect. I'll fix that and republish this presentation. But the end of year is the data that's locked, that was locked at the end of June. So then you've got your end of year locked reports. So when you guys did your urine collection, you closed everything out, we locked the reports. Now you've got this kind of live data where you can make your adjustments and you can look at your live data in the end of year. So you can compare those two reports. What was locked? What is live data showing now? Because come midnight, October 2nd, we're going to take the information in that live report and we're going to overwrite your locked reports. So we're going to say, these are the adjustments you made, the live data, and we're going to overwrite your locked reports from the end of the year, and that's going to be your revised data. So the other helpful reporting window then is full year. I think that can be really helpful because that's any students enrolled at the district throughout the school year, even if they've already been exited. So sometimes that's impactful as well. All right, we are going to schedule a few work days. We have not landed on dates for those just yet, but they'll be end of this month and we'll get a bulletin sent as soon as we have those determined. I think what's important now though is utilizing your SIS vendor and your consortiums for a lot of this entry level sort of getting everything sent, getting everything set up. And then if you have a question about a specific error, send us a ticket and we can help you with that. But then when it comes to these work days, we'll be able to help you work on kind of fine tuning a lot of that information and that data as well. So look for a bulletin coming soon for those. And then very, very last, we get to October, everything's good. You're happy with the way your data looks. You're going to ask, or your superintendent is going to log into advisor validation and they're going to sign off on the collection that's specifically the 21-22 follow-up. And we do have some instructions on our advisor resources page for your superintendents if they're new and they haven't done that before. So let's talk through some common things that the service desk sees that are related to the advisor follow-up collection. A big one that you'll probably spend some time on is variations between your enrollment and your SPED exit dates. So let's say you have a date on this one and you have a type, but you don't have a date or a type on this one. The system's going to be like, that information doesn't jive. So it's going to give you an error. Another big data point that you're going to want to evaluate is the students who you reported as exiting as 205 last year. Some of those are going to likely need to be resolved. So you're going to want to kind of look at what happened with that student. You didn't know where they ended midway through the year, but maybe another district has picked up that kiddo and they've re-enrolled them for the current school year. So then you can change that 205 record. And then also your instructional units. Again, this is for 21-22. So let's say you were contacted by accreditation about that and you need to adjust some settings and things like that. You can do that now, and then those changes will be captured in the follow-up. So I did want to talk through one of those kind of specific errors that has to do with dates not matching, right? So error 523 is student is in grades K through 8 and they don't have an enrollment record for the following school year. So the scenario we're going to talk through is this kiddo moved over the summer from District A to District B. So District A ended the school year open-ended. They didn't know the kiddo was going to move. So 21-22 data has no exit enrollment for this kiddo. Nothing's been reported in 22-23 because the kiddo moved, right? There's nothing to report. But because District B hasn't reported the kiddo yet, in 22-23, the advisor is saying, where is this kid at? I don't see any information on them for 22-23 school year. So what both districts need to do is District A is going to actually update their follow-up collection, and they're going to transfer the students' enrollment out over the summer. So they're going to pick a date prior to June 30th, and they're going to exit the kiddos' enrollment as transferred out to another public school. And then District B, let's say their SIS is finally publishing data. They're going to get that information published into Advisor, and Advisor is going to see a 22-23 enrollment for this kiddo at District B. So when both of those things happen, that error is going to go away. All right, so that's about all I have for Advisor follow-up. Next month, or actually kind of later this month, we're going to record information on the 22-23 fall collection, and we'll have a pre-recorded presentation that we'll make available for everyone, similar to this, with what are my steps that I'm going to do for the fall collection. So look for that coming soon. We'll post it on the data webinar page, and the Advisor Workday site. Again, more resources. This is the service desk email address. Please email us, create a ticket with any questions. We are happy to help. This is the bulletin website here. This is where make sure you're subscribed so that you can get notifications when we do have those work days. We'll be sending a notification through there. And then it also lists old bulletins. So let's say you forgot to subscribe, you finally did, you can go and look and see what is still applicable to you. It's posted now on that site. So even if you didn't get the email notification, you can see what's available. And then just quickly to briefly mention these other fall collections and provide some resources for some of those things that are available. Staff reporting. I know we're still getting lots of questions because there's a statutory due date tomorrow for that one. So there's a recording there. Of course, please send us a ticket if you have any questions about that. The CDC, that actually has quite a few collections that are open now, open through October 15th. Typically, there's a few with some other varying deadline dates too, but we have instructions for most of those collections at this link. And then also Advisor Person ID, it looks like I'm missing a link here. I need to get updated for you, but we have instructions for that too. So if you need help in getting your data uploaded or fixing a file, we can help you with that. So that's it. Looks like we've had some questions. Thank you, Max, for addressing those. I'm gonna, before we dig into the rest of that, Max, really quick, I just want to give everybody a brief scope of what we're going to do next month for the data webinar, and then we can dig back into our questions specific to follow up. We aren't having a live data webinar next month. It's going to be that pre-recorded session that I talked about for Advisor Fall Collection, and then possibly something else, but we'll send you a bulletin when that's available. And then come November, we'll be back to live data webinars. So that's kind of the update for that. All right. So we'll dig into questions now.
Yeah, one thing that people may be finding, I don't know if this affects everyone or just lots of people, there is a problem we are working through with the website not giving out the calendar correctly. People are getting a 404 error when they go to click on the calendar.
Yeah, I can send a link if that helps, Max, in the Q&A.
Oh yeah, if you have the direct link, go ahead, or
Yeah,
otherwise, I just said we would send it to you if anyone emails us. There was a couple questions about the dates and when to send up exits or any data in 22-23. So in general, 21-22 data should end by June 30th, whereas 22-23 data starts after July 1st. So if you have a student that moves in August before school starts, you can report them in 22-23 in the new year. They don't have to be, they don't have to go into the follow-up. You know, when we're talking about the follow-up collection, we're just talking about data related to the prior school year, which ended 6/30 officially. And also related to some questions earlier about, you know, we have the errors that are trying to match up the enrollment exit with SPED exits. Whichever way those get reported, we want both of those exits in the same school year.
Max, I just responded to a question with the revised calendar link. I'm wondering if there's a better place I can put it for everybody.
Also, you can put it, or I can put it in the chat if you don't have access.
Perfect. I don't. Mine just says hosts and panelists, so maybe you can send it to everybody.
Yep, I believe everyone should see that in the chat now. That's the a direct link to the calendar. Well, actually, that link didn't work for me either, though.
One of the
Anyway,
challenges is if your cache is storing old data, but yeah, we're still looking into it. Try clearing your cache and then doing it again. But if that still doesn't work, keep sending us tickets. We're working with the web team.
Lavana was just having an error when accessing advisor validation, it sounds like. Please, Lavana, please send us a ticket to the help desk. We will take a look.
Should I go ahead and answer Angela's question, or did you already get to that?
Not yet.
Okay, what if the superintendent is hard to catch and we want to know whether the fall follow-up is still open or closed? What is the best way to view that status? As data stewards, it would be helpful to know if that collection has been closed. Can we view this in the CDC? Okay, lots of questions there. So I'll start with, what if the superintendent is hard to catch and we want to know whether the fall follow-up is still open or closed? I think you're talking about advisor validation and you want to know whether or not the superintendent has signed off on it. And I don't think data stewards can view that, Max, in advisor validation.
I thought they got a read-only look at it, but offhand, I'm not really sure.
We'll have to dig into that, Angela.
But it is not in the CDC though. It's just a link on the menu, the navigation menu in advisor validation.
And there's two collections that the superintendent's going to sign off on. One is the follow-up, one's the fall. So we won't have fall sign-off available until later in October. Your follow-up sign-off is going to be available first.
Then Anna was asking, Anna, I think you're referencing something in the slides when talking about District A. So I'm not exactly sure what scenario that was referring to.
So it's regarding error 523. And so Anna wants to know, is there any reason District A can't withdraw the kiddo in the 22-23 school year prior to the first day of school? That's how some of the districts have done it in the past. And that'll work as long as the dates align with District B. If District B enrolls that kiddo on July 1st, then District A isn't going to be able to withdraw them because that July 1st date is already, like, that's the start date. So I think that that's where it's going to be important to either view the stuff in enrollment lookup or have a conversation with District B. Max, anything from our reporting side that those dates are important or valuable, that they keep them in 21-22 versus 22-23?
No, other than, like I said, keeping the year lined up. If the student's also special education student, you want to keep those two records aligned in the same school year, whichever year that ends up being.
Yeah.
I don't believe we've gotten the error before because student has no ADM. I don't know. Offhand, I'm not sure if those kinds of students are excluded from the 523 error. Like I know PK students are excluded from it. But Anna, I'm not sure exactly what situation you mean there.
The
523
is K through 8. That was in the descriptor for it.
But Anna, if you've got an example student there, you can send it to us and I'll take a look. I think, most of the time people are enrolling the students after they transfer in the new school year. They're probably being enrolled the first day of school at that new district. So summer exit works usually in that situation.
Any other questions? All right. Of course, as always, please email us advisorhelp@nebraskacloud.org if you have any questions, further questions. I'll update my presentation and get that reposted. I had a couple things to fix in there.
Oh, there's another one. Michelle asked, you don't need an early childhood program. The student has a special ed program. As far as the error goes, that's checking, yeah, the error is checking that any student listed in the PK grade level has either an early childhood program or a special ed program. I'm sure there's situations where students can have both, however. But as far as the error is concerned, yeah, that is correct. All right, last chance for questions. All right, thanks for joining, everyone. Like we said, we will put out a bulletin with the updates about the pre-recorded October session, and then we will also have registration for the November session later on. Thanks, everyone.